Cool. So today is Record Store Day. Like I just mentioned before, I literally found out about it a week ago. So tell me more about
Record Store Day. Record Store Day
was, as I've read, started by a coalition of independent record store owners and a few rabid music fans, kind of, I think, higher up in the music industry, who decided that it would be a good idea to kind of stoke the public, I think, interest and appetite for purchasing records and doing
getting
that sort of,
into the stores.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just using the internet.
Get off your duff, get into a store, enjoy that wonderful experience of digging and finding and cherishing. Because
this is what vinyl looks like when you're digging.
Yeah, totally.
Not like this.
Well, there's something so gratifying to you about even when you pick up something that you're not even sure what it sounds like, but you do just judge it by the cover. And you go like, that looks cool. We've had many fans come to us and say, I had no idea what you guys sounded like, but I thought the cover was cool. And so I checked it out.
Yeah.
And that's just a beautiful thing, because a lot of times you take it for granted when someone just sends a file or you click through Spotify. This is a really nice way to commune with your music.
Yeah, there's nothing, like, I think me and Brian both grew up, I mean, we grew up pre-internet. We were teenagers before the internet had really happened. And, like, going to a record store, I don't know how it feels for a 15-year-old now, and, like, whether it feels special to walk into an independent record store, but, like, at 15 years old, that's just where I wanted to go. I would like wait for the weekend, take my allowance, and like take the buses and subways to like go to the record store, where I was like, like this is where I belong. This is where my people are. Like, and even if the record store clerks were jerks, you still felt so special being there, like surrounded by tapes and records and then CDs.
And on the flip side, if you caught a clerk that was cool and was like, hey kid, check this out.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah, and I would spend like hours, I would spend entire Saturdays in Harvard Square like going to every single record store and like just kind of looking at everything. Like even music that I wasn't into, I'd be like, I don't know, what's in the soundtrack section, what's in the jazz section, like is there anything here for me? And also like what's in the dollar section, because it's only $1 and I'll just try it out because it looks kind of weird and fucked up. And I found so many records that way. I got into so many bands that way. And the internet, it can kind of do that, but not in the same way. There isn't that like special feeling of being in a place and discovering something.
Right, really engaging in that experience. So we thank everybody for getting into that. And hopefully that it's not in the spirit of sort of like the grabby Black Friday, just accumulating of stuff.
Yeah.
But that it fosters a connection between people and the music that they love. That, to me, is what kind of excites me about this.
Yeah, and it's mostly, it's like about, you know, also, one of the things that's great, and I've been looking at the internet all day, is like people meeting each other. You know, it's sort of also like bookstores closing and libraries closing. It's like if we're all just sitting at home alone on the internet, how are we human beings communicating and connecting with each other? It's kind of sad. So, you know, and there's like, I've also seen that there's backlash to Record Store Day, because it's like, it's gotten too corporate and this and, you know, all of these like irritating sort of scalpers, like, you know, buy everything up and then sell it on eBay. And like, yeah, of course, like everything, like, yes, that shit's gonna happen, but like, you know, don't hate on these people for trying to do a good thing.
Correct. So, to continue from that, you were talking about how you used to go in the record store. So, my experience with my first vinyl I used to DJ before I was playing guitar was my cousin gave me a Run DMC record, which is The Way It Is. That's The Way It Is. So, what's your first experience with vinyl? What's your first vinyl you bought or your first experiences?
Stray Cats Rant and Rave. That was my very first record that I bought. I was 10, and I was I was with my older stepbrother who I worshipped and my older sister. And it was just the three of us, and Carl took us to a record store in Boston. I don't even remember what it was called. And I knew the Stray Cats, and I liked them from MTV. And I was like, that's gonna be my record. And it was like $6.99, and I bought it with my own money, and I was so happy. And yeah, I still have it.
Skid Row debut album. 1988. I was
Yeah!
What can you say, man? I was 9 years old, MTV, I was like all about death metal. So, yeah, no, I mean, That I remember, that feeling though of when
Oh
you
my God.
first, you're like, I have my allowance money and I have my ride to the mall. I shall conquer. And I think that was.
And like an MTV too, amazing how like I've been thinking about that so much, how gone MTV is. It's now like, it's enough of a thing of the past that teenagers are like, what was MTV? And it's like, it was everything. Like that's where we got our music.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have the internet. Like MTV showed us all of these bands.
Definitely.
And
There were exciting moments in the programming. You could look forward to 120 Minutes or Headbangers Ball or whatever that special show or MTV Raps that you used to watch on Saturday mornings. Like anything that connected you to that kind of culture before it just became all about reality shows and dissipated that thing.
Boom.
Yeah, you have to find a place where you can connect with your peers. So again, the record store is nice too. Talk to people. What do you get? What do you get? Communicate.
Cool. So my follow-up question, and I guess you can like close it on because it can't be too long. What are some artists that you guys have been influenced by, and what are the artists that are today that are like modern artists that are just like inspiring you, like young people? Like what's the most interesting musicians you've seen lately?
I love Lord. I think Lord is a badass, and I actually, one of the things that bums me out is like I'll see some younger artist and I'll really like what they stand for, but I'll hate their music. And I love Lord's music. It's like she, however she got influenced, like she speaks to that part of me that is like, oh my God, great, like dark, Cure-like synthesizers, and like she's practically a new wave throwback, but doesn't manage to sound like that stuff at all. Like totally sounds like herself and sounds totally new, with really honest lyrics. And she's the first young artist where I'm like, in a while, where I'm like, I believe in you. I totally believe in you. And and she's also, the way she's running her career, she's just not plugging into the bullshit. She's clearly doing it her own way, and that makes me so happy.
I have a not as inspiring answer. One of the things I've been struggling with is that a lot of the newer artists I've been getting into, it's been hard for me to stick with them over a certain evolution, because I feel like there's a tendency where people second guess their initial intent and they go, I need to make it more palatable and things like that. And so I started
Lord only has one record.
Yes, good. Well, maybe she followed her heart through all
Please,
that.
Lord.
I really started to
I like that.
Please, Lord. Exactly. So without naming names, there have been definite bands that I would say around maybe 2011, 12, I really was like, this is really great and it got me hopeful, but it's been hard for me to
stick with it.
Kind of, yeah. Tune Yards, for example, I thought was great and loved seeing live. I thought Wyoke was really cool. I've seen Best Coast live, blah, blah, blah. A bunch of different bands, but it's something that, and that's totally up to their discretion too. I like seeing bands explore new territory, and if maybe going in a certain direction is what they feel, power to them. I think, path has been to take music that I've liked at a certain point, find out what those musicians were inspired by, and work backwards.
Go back.
So,
are there any bands in New York, like local New York bands, that you actually would go out of your way to go see?
Yes, and that band, and thank you because I did want to mention them. There's a band called XNY, who I think is great. They're a wonderful duo, and just total powerhouses, both great drummer, great singer, guitar player, and really creative.
Letters,
music.
X and Y?
Yes, XNY. And that has been one of these bands where you see a lot of performers these days feeling like they have to be very underwhelming and understated, and there's the sort of blasé wars, and then like who can be who's the least affected wins, and that is, you know what I mean, like.
Sorry, it's just I've been to Williamsburg too much.
Yeah, I mean, I outrightly.
That hasn't changed though. That was going on when we started our band.
That's true.
Why we were so weird.
That's true. That's true.
It's like we were surrounded by bands in Boston that were like rock. They were like rock bands, and it was a contest to see who could look like they cared less. And we were like, well, let's wear costumes.
Right. Well, XNY is very much not into that. They're into that. Let's like let the energy flow and really like deliver to people. And so that I'm really inspired by. I love seeing younger bands cut loose on stage.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, I actually, another one that I just got to see is Magical Clouds. And again, like, totally bizarre, but my favorite thing when seeing a band is like, is this person totally there and do they totally care? Are they completely getting into it? Or are they, you know, or are they affecting something for me?
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's that weird blur because, like, yes, you're always performing too. Like, it's impossible to say what's totally authentic. Because sometimes what's totally authentic is like a performance, you know, a deliberate performance. But you can tell the difference between someone who's letting themselves take risks on stage, like risking looking stupid, risking going too far, risking being too emotional, you know, and those are the people that you want to watch because you believe that something more is happening and that they're allowing it to happen. And I felt that way watching Magical Clouds. I got to see them at the Basilica Festival over the summer, and I was like, whoa, it was like watching Antony for the first time. I was like, that is a person in the zone. Amazing.
I have one little last question that just popped into my head because you guys are talking about...
Do it!
Okay, this is a little question. Cell phones or no cell phones at concerts? My personal opinion is I hate them.
Yeah.
Your opinion? I see artists have a lot of
I never want to ban anyone, and I don't. But it's also, it's like, take a picture and then put your phone away.
Yeah.
Like, and also, like, usually footage is so bad that, like, you don't need 60 people filming the same bad shot on their cell phone. At the same time, like, if you don't have a professional camera person there and you want your show caught because you want everyone else to be able to see it. So my shows tend to work because there tends to just be an organic balance. Like, I just came off a solo tour, and I found the same thing was true with the Dresden Dolls. Is like, you would have a couple of people who were like, I'm freaking out and filming everything, and everyone else would just be like, they're freaking out and filming everything. We can enjoy the show.
Right.
And you would never have the, like, sea of cameras. The sea of cameras just breaks your heart because you're like, you're at a rock show. You can't all be holding your cameras.
The thing that really grinds me is the iPads that come out. I can understand a phone where you can hold it sort of in front of your face, but the last time I went to see Nick Cave, I literally was trying to swat this iPad out. I was like, yeah. Too much. Yeah. You gotta draw the line somewhere.
It's like someone holding a television.
You know, but there's something beautiful about watching concert videos from the 1990s where there's nary a phone inside, and it's just kids sweating, rocking the fuck out.
But at the same time, like, I know there have been plenty of bands who have enacted no cell phone rules, and while I think that's cool, you know, I would think if I were going to do that, I would make sure that I had a person with a camera there, so everyone can feel like, you know, if something. Because you never know when something amazing is going to happen. And it is nice, especially in the age of YouTube and with kids everywhere not being able to get to concerts and going like, oh, I wish I had seen it, that you can somehow capture things. But you can't prioritize that.
Yeah.
The minute you're living for the camera and living for YouTube, you're not serving the people in the room.
Sure. So maybe encourage the culture of cell phone users to appreciate how wonderful it is to be in the moment, and that it makes it special because you were there, and that it will be over when you leave the venue, and you will have it in your memory in that experience, and that's reason to come back the next time. But you don't want to just get so infiltrated with so many video clips.
And especially with teenagers, like, it's heartbreaking to watch, and I feel it in myself too, because I use social media all the time, of that, like, that instinct of like, oh my god, something's happening, and your first instinct is to like, archive it and capture it, and it's like, God, what is that doing to our souls? Like, scary.
Yeah, I just personally, I hate when I see it I don't mind like a quick tweet, like you mentioned, like when someone.
But like between songs, but no, it's a barrier. You're not talking about like people like an example like archiving. It's sort of a barrier between you and what's happening. And if you're going to a show, man, why do you want a wall up between you? Be there, let that energy hit you.
Yeah, I think it's also new that we're figuring out the etiquette. Like, we're that generation. They're gonna look back and be like, oh my god, they have the internet for the first time. Like, those, you know, and everyone's sort of freaking out and excited about the technology, but not yet aware of like the effect of the etiquette on art, on music, on your personal relationships. Like I spend a lot of time thinking about that and watching different bands and different musicians dealing with it in different ways. Again, it's like the most important thing is that you not judge anyone for the choices they're making. If everyone wants to have like everybody film the whole show, it's like great. That's your prerogative if that's the way you want your show to run. It doesn't mean that it's bad, and it doesn't mean that everybody there isn't feeling something. It's just kind of a different choice. So we're gonna go, we're best practice,
Yes.
as you can see. And we're gonna go play our first show in years
Yeah.
at Rough Trade.
Booyah!
Booyah!
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, and you should, if you have one, get some footage of the
Oh yeah,
vinyl.
Did you see it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.